Straight! Red card.
The students of Hogwarts definitely had their fair share of mishaps behind the scenes. The blooper reel is full of pranks, wardrobe malfunctions, forgotten lines, and awkward kisses that undoubtedly make the films even more fun. Number 1. Who knew newspaper could be so dangerous?
I am the chosen one. Okay, sorry.
Emma Watson might have hit Daniel Radcliffe a little too hard.
I'm kidding. Okay, sorry. That really did hurt quite a lot.
Even she knew it. She could not keep a straight face after.
Ask someone I like. You're laughing because you hit me so hard, aren't you? Okay.
Just your run-of-the-mill, chosen one casualties.
You really can hear the crunch of paper on bone.
Number 2. Tom Felton serves an iconic Draco Malfoy line, one that wasn't originally in the script. Do you remember this Chamber of Secrets moment?
Reading?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know you could read.
Tom actually forgot his line here, and while trying to pull it out of his head, he threw out this random one that inevitably became a fan favorite. Bravo, Tom, bravo.
Good one, girl. You're absolutely right. Saint Potter.
Number 3. Even the adults have fun on this set. Michael Gambon and Alan Rickman played a notorious prank on Daniel Radcliffe and the other students who were shooting a scene in the Great Hall. All of the students were supposed to be asleep on the floor, with Daniel placed next to a girl he liked in real life.
In our dreams, we enter completely our own world.
Alan and Michael hid a fart machine in Daniel's sleeping bag. Michael stayed in character throughout his entire monologue, next to Alan, who was really trying hard to keep it together.
It's completely our own world, and we like to swim in the deepest waters.
It wasn't until all the students finally broke out into laughter that Alan and Michael finally broke character themselves. Number 4. There's bound to be a ton of bloopers for this one.
I think we kind of built it up into this kind of really awkward, horrible kind of thing.
Emma Watson and Rupert Grint have known each other for so long, they literally grew up together on the sets of these movies. To them, the kiss was less of a romantic moment and more like kissing a sibling.
We were both more worried about the fact that we just wouldn't be able to do it.
Luckily, they did manage to get the shot after only a few tries. Emma decided she needed to commit really early so they didn't have to do a ton of takes.
I just kind of had to put the incredible amount of history that I have with Rupert aside and be Hermione.
Number 5. This time, it's Daniel Radcliffe and Bonnie Wright. Like Emma Watson and Rupert Grint, Daniel felt pretty weird about doing the scene with her.
It was kind of odd because I've known Bonnie since she was about 10.
Guess how many takes it took them to get right?
Quite a weird thing to have to do, so I think I was kind of tried to cut each other some slack.
If you guessed 30 takes, you'd be right. Their nerves kept getting the better of them and they found it difficult to get the kiss done naturally, or rather without laughing during each take.
So it's a bit weird doing all that, but it's fine.
Number 6. Okay, this is the last kiss we're gonna mention here. Poor Emma Watson.
I was half naked and covered in silver paint, so that was pretty awkward.
We're talking, of course, about Harry and Hermione's kiss. For Daniel Radcliffe, the kiss was significantly less awkward.
To be honest, it wasn't too awkward. It's quite enjoyable. I quite liked it.
That smooch took 5 takes, with each actor clearly having 2 very different experiences. Number 7. Daniel Radcliffe had childhood nerves of steel.
And Mr. Harry Potter has his key. Look me in the eye when I'm talking to you!
The director really wanted to scare Daniel, so he instructed Warwick Davis, who was playing the Goblin, to go really over the top and yell at him. But
Does Mr. Harry Potter have his key?
it made Daniel start cracking up laughing instead. Number 8. Bras can be a tricky thing sometimes.
Bill, look away. I'm hideous.
In Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, Daniel got to try on an outfit he wouldn't usually find in his section of the wardrobe closet.
That was one of the things I was delighted about, was how good I looked in Fleur's costume. I look fantastic in women's clothing.
That scene, and a slight wardrobe malfunction, was the reason for this hilarious blooper.
Bill, look away. I'm hideous. Bra's not coming off.
Number 9. Emma Watson just couldn't keep it together.
Where is Luna?
Luna?
For this scene in the Deathly Hallows, Harry, Ron, and Hermione are having tea at the Lovegoods, and Emma just couldn't handle all the slurping sounds.
Alright, got that.
I'm so sorry.
She was threatened with the harrowing red card, an actor's penalization for ruining takes. Not always such the straight-A student.
Red card, Emma Watson.
Number 10. Matthew Lewis has all the comedic timing in the world for this take.
My gran said it's a Daily Prophet that's rubbish.
With the entire cast and crew laughing, they had to go in for a few more takes afterward.
Just go.
Because of that comedic timing, we were graced with this line in the extended cut.
My gran says it's the Daily Prophet that's rubbish. She's cancelled our subscription.
Number 11. Apparently, Rupert finds everything funny.
You just shut your mouth. I do. Just shut your mouth.
He was known on set as the one who was constantly ruining takes with his laughter. Once he got in one of his giggle fits, it was impossible to get him to stop.
As soon as he goes, I fall to pieces. I'm gone.
When he starts laughing, he can't stop. And apparently, it was like that from the very beginning.
Look at the camera, wave and smile, wave and smile. Wave with your hand.
Number 12. Emma Watson needed a second to gather her thoughts here.
Just because I laugh doesn't mean you have to stop.
It seems as if she lost her train of thought in this Goblet of Fire scene. Luckily, though, we didn't hear anything about another red card this time. Number 13. Not everyone has a natural rhythm.
In my mind, I could see myself, everyone going, oh, he's such a good dancer. Wow. And it didn't happen.
To be fair, though, when preparing for the Yule Ball, Daniel Radcliffe didn't have as much time to learn the steps as everyone else did.
Everyone else had about 3 weeks. I only had about 4 days to learn.
He said he had it until about halfway through the dance, and then it would kind of all fall apart for him.
At the minute, God did not necessarily mean him to be a ballroom dancer.
As far as his character acting goes, he says Harry wouldn't be a great dancer either, so he was actually delivering his performance perfectly. Number 14. Or was it actually wuss? These Quidditch matches can really get heated.
Whoops. You could be a wuss.
It's clear that regardless of their characters' rivalry, these actors have great rapport.
Well, we're not really enemies, we love each other, really.
Yeah. I have Polaroids that I could show you of Tom. Shut up now, shut up.
Who says Gryffindors and Slytherins can't be friends? Number 15. Kids can be pretty forgetful.
Kids, one thing everybody's forgetting. After his spell, everybody goes,
Instead of reacting in shock or worry to this Chamber of Secrets scene, everyone was just kind of, well, there.
Emma, really big reaction from you. You're staring in horror. This is your friend, okay?
After a friendly reminder from the director, everyone was able to get the proper reaction to Professor Lockhart's spell.
Edmundo! I have a terrible facial hair problem.
While the professors in Harry Potter may have a wand up there, you know what, the actors themselves love pulling pranks and laughing on set.
I remember when it was called a one broomstick.
Number 1. Disrespecting Professor Umbridge is something we can get behind. While we can't tell you why this deleted scene of Professor Trelawney exists, we are just so glad that it does. The theory is they were just doing a long pan shot of all the professors, and Emma Thompson was improvising. And being so ridiculous, they paused and focused on her.
Who that ought to be prohibited?
Seriously, we could just sit here and watch this for another minute or two, maybe an hour. Or how about the entirety of Harry Potter told through Professor Trelawney's eyes?
Thank you, Professor Umbridge. That really was most illuminating.
Number 2. The internet will never let Daniel Radcliffe forget this one. Michael Gambon and Alan Rickman pulled the best prank on Dan.
Really, really funny.
And for you?
While he's supposed to be silently sleeping in a room full of other young wizards, the mayhem began.
In our dreams, we enter completely our own world.
The best part was,
Dan has us to have his sleeping bag next to this particular girl that he fancied.
it was Alan Rickman who planted the fart machine.
And we like to swim in the deepest waters.
But it was Michael who was pressing the button. Michael and Alan were good buddies on set. Michael was always making Alan laugh, and they were lucky if they got a take where he didn't crack.
So you are CE.
Number 3. We would take Maggie Smith as our dance partner any day of the week.
This leg moves fast.
Maggie, in character, teaching Rupert Grint to dance while she's hanging out in her robe is just hilarious.
Put your right hand on my waist.
It's probably good we've got visuals to describe the scene, otherwise you might have thought something else.
No, you will have to lead eventually.
Her metaphors are the perfect cocktail of elegance and quirkiness.
Inside every boy, a lordly lion prepared to prance.
And Rupert Grint was just a wee bit embarrassed of the whole situation, telling onlookers that no one is to breathe a word about the moment.
Never gonna let him forget this, are you?
Never.
Number 4. Magic meets technology. Alan Rickman whacked his hand off the camera and only had this anticlimactic thing to say. And yet, it's still hilarious. He's not one to break character too much unless Michael Gambon's around, but odds are this footage wasn't salvageable anyways. Number 5. 1,000 takes would make for a long day. Robbie Coltrane's responses to literally everything are just hilarious.
Take some.
1,000, take 1.
Was that 1,000? Way!
Robbie, we're not sure 1,000 takes is necessarily a good thing.
We do our best to do it.
Number 6. If only Ron were as talented with a wand as he is with a quill. Rupert Grint was caught doodling a nasty image of Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman was standing right behind me and I was so scared.
Life imitates art sometimes. If you're playing the quote-unquote evil dark arts teacher, you should just expect some sassy students.
The picture wasn't nice either. It was, I think I exaggerated a few of his features.
Well, Alan Rickman, like the true gentleman he is, kept Rupert's art.
I made him sign it and I have it in my possession. And I'm very fond of it.
Number 7. Now, for the hero of our generation. When Filch's cat is petrified, in the movie, Kenneth Branagh's character said,
Ah, thought so. So unlucky I wasn't there. I know exactly the counter curse that could have spared her.
But we found another improvised take.
It was definitely a curse that killed her. Probably the transmogrifian torture. Encountered it myself once in Ouagadougou.
Number 8. Poor Richard was too gentle for this world. Richard Harris thought the animatronic of Fox the Phoenix was real, and so when no one else was in the room, he was interacting with the bird. And the sneaky tech people were puppeting said animatronic from outside of the room to let him believe in the magic. Nobody ever told him the bird was fake, and we think it's just better that way.
Pretty good, huh?
Number 9. Children are a nuisance. While Professor McGonagall would never threaten to hurt a student,
We never use transfiguration as a punishment.
Maggie Smith might not be so strict with herself. Like, how about this moment? She pretends she's going to thump one of the kids with a scroll. Yes, we know, it's all teasing. Number 10. Robbie Coltrane goofing about in the motorcycle makes everyone on set burst out into giggles, including Dan. This lovable goof can probably make even the grumpiest of people laugh on a bad day. Number 11. Our least favorite professor is full of personality. While Professor Umbridge is evil in the movie, behind the scenes Imelda Staunton and McGonagall were best buds. Imelda sings,
Oh, disloyalty. Yes.
and she blah blah blahs about.
Blah, 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 blah. Disloyalty. Oh.
Number 12. We still find it hard to believe Hogwarts hosts a rave. Did you know Professor Flitwick crowd surfing at the Yule Ball was only meant to be a joke? It's true.
I said, wouldn't it be funny if Flitwick did a stage dive?
The director went away for the weekend and Warwick Davis couldn't believe his ears.
He said, we're going to do that. And I said, I was only joking.
Here's hoping he enjoyed himself and maybe ticked something off the bucket list. Number 13. Never let go, Filch.
Take your hands off me, you filthy squib!
David Bradley wasn't meant to hang on to Tom Felton forever, but he just wasn't ready to let go, even while the cameras weren't rolling. But hey, maybe he had a perfect grip and just didn't want to lose it. Number 14. What is it with Harry Potter and gas?
He was a little boy, obviously, in the first one, and he said he was really traumatized by her.
Miriam Margolyes hasn't bothered to watch most of the Harry Potter movies.
Well, I've only been to the ones I'm in, and I fall asleep.
If you remember Professor Sprout with the screaming plants, she's not happy about her time on Harry Potter. Or rather, not happy she wasn't in all of them.
That was a grave oversight, and I'm holding you responsible.
Miriam traumatized Daniel Radcliffe when he was a wee boy. She's quite the character, which you'd know if you've ever seen her on a talk show. Age is but a number, and she's hilarious.
I've been told there was a swear jar involved on set.
Well, a young Dan didn't appreciate her behavior with the cursing.
I was probably careful when it was you, but when, with the other kids, I didn't bother.
That wasn't the worst part, though. It was the farting that really got to him.
I'm very proud of it.
Number 15. It doesn't take Michael Gambon a transformation spell to alter his performance. Michael's a bit of a goofball.
When we do the scene now again in a minute, I shall change my...
This cracks up Radcliffe.
In a completely different way.
Michael, we applaud your nuance. The cast of Harry Potter still leaves us laughing, even all these years later. Do you ever wish you could go back in time and experience it again for the first time? Let us know in the comments, and thanks for hanging out with us here at The Things.